Take two, welcome to Peace Out, where we are all learning together to peace out. And it is beautiful outside with around 8 or 10 inches of snow, but it is cold. So I thought we would have a fireside chat. It's just getting going this morning, but there's a little tiny flame there, but it's still a fireplace and it's still warm. So we got the box warm, right? But I started and it didn't get real big. So maybe it'll get bigger while we talk. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Anyway, I hope you're having a good week so far. Monday, January, the last Monday in January, we're about done with this month. That is just crazy already. This has been a very fast month, even though the last few days have gone really slow. It just slowed down all of a sudden, like, okay, never mind, put the brakes on. They're enjoying it too much. They're headed into February full force. So let's just slow it down a little bit, right? So I got a theme this week, but you might have to guess it. I want to look at some different people this week who came up with a plan, who didn't stop. You know, a few years ago, it was probably more like a few decades ago, Nike had a campaign, and they still have it out there, right? Just do it. They came up with the little swoosh, and it was actually a simple idea that took off, right? And so but their whole theme still is just do it. Just get it done. And that's our character today we're going to look at did that. He did what he needed to do to get it done, right? So we're going to look at Zacchaeus today. And we're going to look at actually a different person each week who did what they had to do to meet with God, to talk with God, to learn more about God. And Zacchaeus is interesting because he's a tax collector. He's actually hated by the people because tax collectors in their day would extract extra money for themselves. They would say, you owe the government $5. I'm going to charge you $7 because I can get by with that. And then he pockets the $2. So he's stealing from everybody, right? Even more than just the taxes are stealing, but we won't go there, right? But he was even going above that, what was allowed, and trying to get more to pad his pocket to build his own wealth off of the backs of other people, right? So nobody likes Zacchaeus. Matthew was a tax collector too, if you remember, which is really funny because Jesus picked a tax collector to follow him. And Judas, who was more like a rioter, so to speak, or someone who was always fighting for the justice of the people, they should not have got along, but somehow they did. That's not even the fights we see that the disciples have, right? Wasn't even with those two, right? It was and they were in two different factions, two different lines of thought. You know, one all pro-government, one all totally against government. That's like Democrat and Republican. They should not have got along. They just can't get along, right? And so Zacchaeus was a tax collector, and no one liked him, okay? So here he is. It says in Luke 19, it says that Jesus came into Jericho, made his way into town, and Zacchaeus was there, and he was one of the most influential Jews in the Roman tax collecting business. So he's a very well-established business person, right? And he had become very rich. But that's not a good thing always, right? But listen to this. In verse 3, it said, he tried to get a look at Jesus, but he was too short to see over the crowds. So I circled in my Bible. Get a Bible, you can write in. I circled in my Bible. He tried. He said, Jesus is coming into town and I want to see him. And he tried to get to where he could see Jesus. He wanted to know more about Jesus. Maybe, did he believe? I don't know. Was he looking for a reason to believe? I don't know. I don't know why. Was he just infatuated with the stories and wanted to see if the stories were true or not? I don't know. But the point is, no matter the why, he tried to see Jesus. He tried. But he was too short and he couldn't see him. It did not work. He couldn't see him at all. He couldn't see him at all. Because he couldn't see over the crowds. And so, but then in verse 4 it says, so he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore tree beside the road so that he could watch from there. So here's what I want to look at Zacchaeus. There's a whole bunch more to this story, but here's the part I want to think about today. He tried. Are you trying? Are we trying to see God? Are we trying to read the word more? Maybe we haven't mastered it yet. Maybe you haven't developed a habit of daily Bible reading or even listening on an app or whatever. Maybe you don't go to church or want to go to church or you're thinking of a plan to try to figure out how to see Jesus in your life, how to see God in your life. And maybe it's not working. That's okay. Think again. That's what Zacchaeus did. It says he tried to see Jesus, but he couldn't. So he ran ahead and climbed a tree. And so he went the extra mile. He's like, I want to see Jesus. He had that desire. That's where it starts, is that desire to know God more. That's where the whole thing starts. I want to know God more. Okay, the desire is the first part. It's like the seed. And then you try something. And even if it doesn't work, it doesn't mean it was wrong. He wasn't wrong for trying to see Jesus, right? He just didn't see Jesus like he wanted to because he was short, but he did not quit. That's point 2. He didn't quit. Don't quit if what you tried didn't work. You try to read your Bible every day. It's the last part of January and you've already failed. You think you failed. You know, if you read it one day and got something out of it, you didn't fail, right? You grew. So you put something into that spirit man and beefed it up a little bit, right? And so he's like, he tried, he couldn't do it. So he ran ahead. That means he made a plan. He was like, I want to see Jesus. I'm going to get closer. I can't see him. What can I do? I want to see him. And that's kind of where we can be in our lives sometimes, is we want to see him. What we're doing didn't really work or isn't really working, but we want to see him. But that's not a place to stop. That's a place to think, what can I do? What can I change? Can I change up my morning schedule or my night schedule? Or do I have a point in the middle of the day to have a lunch break where I can read the word and spend some time in prayer? You know, what can I do to change my situation? And that's what he did. And then he did it. So he tried and failed. He decided, he made a plan and ran and followed through with that plan. He ran ahead and climbed into the tree. And what happened? Jesus comes and he's walking with this crowd. There was no reason for him to see Zacchaeus up in the tree, but he sees him in the tree and he said, Zacchaeus, he said, hey, come on down. Let's go to your house. And Zacchaeus quickly climbed down and took Jesus to his house in great excitement and joy. He was so excited. Not only did he get to see Jesus because he didn't stop. He could have just walked away and went, well, you know, I got other things to do. You know, not only did he didn't see him first, he made a plan. He ran ahead, followed through with that plan, ran ahead, climbed up in a tree. He wanted to see Jesus so bad. He wasn't even necessarily wanting something from Jesus. He wasn't even necessarily wanting Jesus to touch him. He wasn't sick. So maybe did he want to see a miracle? Did he want to hear what Jesus' teaching was about? We don't know exactly what his full intention was, but we know that he wanted to see Jesus. And not only did he see Jesus, Jesus went to his house with him. And then it says that he's going to give away his wealth. He says, I'm going to give away half of my wealth to the poor. And if I've overcharged people or taxes, I'm going to give them back 4 times. Jesus didn't come in his house and go, you know what? You really have messed up. You've been stealing from people. Jesus didn't say all that, as far as we know, right? But Zacchaeus knew what he had done wrong because he was in the presence of that Prince of Peace, and he knew what he needed to do to make peace in his own heart, just from getting close to Jesus. When we get close to God, we begin to be able to make those changes and see, oh, I need to change this, or maybe I need to change that. But it all starts with that desire. I want to see him. Maybe my first try didn't work. Maybe my second try didn't work. Maybe my third try didn't work. Keep trying. Keep pressing in. Keep reading. Keep praying. Keep seeking that relationship, because one of our favorite scriptures out of Jeremiah 29 says that when we seek him, he will let us find him. God can stay hidden. He's God. He could say, I don't want anybody to find me. I don't want them to even know I'm here. So let's just not talk about it. Don't give them the Bible. Don't do that. I don't know, but he doesn't. He wants to reveal himself to those who want to see him. And we see a picture of that here, because when Jesus saw Zacchaeus up in the tree, and of course he already knew all this, right? He says, come on now, let's go to your house. And Zacchaeus' life was completely changed, and his whole family was changed. And it says he had great excitement and joy. Now, it does say this. The crowds were displeased that he had gone to such a notorious sinner, and they grumbled. But the crowds are always going to grumble. Seek Jesus anyway. There's always going to be telling someone, you do too much. Seek Jesus anyway. There's going to be somebody say, it don't take all that. Do it anyway. It does. How much do you want to see God in your life? How much do you want him? Keep pressing in. There's always going to be someone to discourage you. There's always going to be someone to say, well, I don't know why you need to read the Bible every day. I don't know why you need to do this. I don't know why you're even trying to pray. You ain't getting no. And there's always going to be that. We had to see, remember the children of Israel, they set the example for that side of the crowd, right? They set the example for grumbling and complaining and fussing about every little thing, right? And so there's always going to be a crowd that grumbles, but it's only because they're not willing to press through to see for themselves. And so they want to hold that standard way down here because they don't want you to go past it. Ignore them. Ignore them. Seek Jesus anyway. Read the word anyway. It doesn't matter. Do you see something, you're not going to pick up the Bible and read the chapter and go, wow, my life has changed. Now you might, because you might get to some big revelation, but it's okay. Keep seeking. If you can't see him from here, move over here. If you can't see him from there, move over there. Keep seeking, because when we seek him, he will let us find him. And that's what Jesus did. He saw Zacchaeus in the tree. He said, hey, you're the one out of all these people that are you're trying the hardest to get to me. And I want to meet you right there. And he will meet us where we are. I love that about God. And then Jesus said, salvation has come to this home today. He's just as easily said, peace has come. The Prince of Peace has come to this home today. And that's what we want to do, is just keep seeking, keep piecing out, and just keep on trying to see God, trying to know God, do what we need to do. And I guess I got to keep stoking that fire because it's about to go out. So you guys, peace out. Have a great day. I'll see you again tomorrow.